In this video, we will be tasting and talking about batch 108 of the Eco Cha Tea Club, an award-winning Dongding Oolong tea from Taiwan. Batch 108 of the Eco Cha Tea Club is an award-winning Dongding Oolong tea from Taiwan. The award being from the Lugu Farmers Association Dongding Oolong Tea Competition, which is the flagship tea competition in Taiwan. It's the largest and most prestigious tea competition in Taiwan, and probably the most prestigious oolong tea competition in the world. Our tea mentor, Tony Lin, worked at the Farmers Association for about 40 years, and that was a focus of his career to develop this competition, starting in 1976, I believe. And we have been observing it and translating the material to describe it and so on for the last 20 years or so. Our friend and source of this tea, as well as many other teas on an ongoing basis, is one of the most successful tea competition players that we know of. He actually won first place prize this past spring, of which this tea was entered into. And that's out of roughly 4,700 entries overall this year, and has won top awards for several years now. He's received third place prize in recent years, many top 2% prizes, and yeah, he finally reached his goal to get the #1 this year. And along with that champion prize tea that he was awarded this year was this batch of tea, which was awarded third place category, which ranks it within the top 16% or so of all entries. They have many ranks. It's basically, to run through it quickly, the champion prize and then the top 10 awards underneath the champion prize, so that's 1 to 11 in effect. And then there is Tou Dangjiang, which is top category, which is the top 2%. Second place category, which is in the top 8% overall, and then third place within the top 16%, and then it keeps going from there. About half of all entries, or at least 40%, are rejected. So it does make it a rather strict competition in that respect. A lot of people don't rank at all. The people that do receive an award, the association packages it in certified award-winning packaging, and it sells on the market for much higher than the regular market price for this type of tea. To give you an idea, his champion prize-winning tea went for roughly $10,000 US for 600 grams. That's called 600 gram is the measure, the unit of weight here. Jing, 1 jing of tea, 600 grams, 10,000 baht. So this third place category was well below that, but it still ranks and sells for much higher than market price here in Taiwan. That's the kind of reference for the tea competition. This tea was sourced from Meishan Township. Dongding Oolong tea would most likely be said to be a medium oxidation and medium roast, or medium to heavy roast. You need a significant amount of oxidation in order to roast these leaves to the extent they are. And it does have a distinct roasted flavor, but it needs to be balanced out by a more complex flavor profile that includes fruity, a little bit of smoky, sometimes leathery tobacco kind of thing going on. What we noticed mostly was roasted yams in the aroma of the leaves as they brewed. This has cooled down a bit, but I can't resist to smell it again. Yeah, now that it's cooled down, it has a much more fruity and sweet character to it. When the leaves are really hot and wafting and kind of, steaming, basically, there's a much more roasted quality to it. Now I'm just getting a lot more sweet, almost candied yam, cooked, like stewed apples. Getting sticking my nose in my teapot. What else is new? Oh, it's so good. Sorry. it's kind of, well, the last thing that came to mind was apple pie, but I'm probably just like, making it into a fantasy there. Okay, let's taste before we go any further. Yeah, first thing that hits the tongue is like this smoky, a hint of smoky flavored, but then it immediately, once it kind of coats the palate, there's a sweet quality, a fairly dense, thick mouthfeel, rich quality. It's definitely reminding me of like sweet potatoes that have been whipped at Thanksgiving, and probably with butter. It's sweet on the palate, exhaling through the nose. There's a campfire aspect to it. Roasted yams really kind of encompasses in one word the quality of it for me. I'm going to move through these a little bit. Okay, very interesting. This is something I'm being reminded of. The first brew tends to be a more roasted quality than the second brew, especially. So, to go step back for a second, this I believe is a 175, 180 milliliter teapot. I put 11.5 grams in it. We recommend basically starting with a 1:17 ratio, mostly because this is competition grade tea. It has virtually no stem material, so it's like the cream of the crop. It'll brew more strongly. And along with the roast factor that makes it a heartier brew as well. So go a little less than the standard of 1:15 ratio that we recommend for unroasted high mountain oolong teas. You could even go much less than that. If you really want to kind of like refine it, brew it less concentrated, and you'll get more of the delicate notes, more complexity. I like to balance it somewhere in between in order to get a thick enough mouthfeel and to kind of, bring the tea to its full potential in terms of its overall overall composition. Definitely smoother on the second brew. So that's 11.5 grams of tea, 100, let's say 180 milliliter teapot. I went 60 seconds on the first brew, 50 seconds on the second brew after the leaves opened up, back up to 60 seconds on the third brew, 70 seconds on the fourth brew, and 80 seconds on the fifth brew. Let's just kind of keep it uniform and give you the gist of the progression. You can vary those. You can go maybe up to 90 seconds or over 2 minutes if you want on the later brews, especially if you go more than 5. I do 5 here because that's what looks nice in my array here. Okay, let me go back to the third brew here. Apricots often come to mind when I drink this tea, but the roasted quality is really side by side or really integrated with it. Dried apricots, maybe. It's not that sweet. There's a little bit of tang. I'll just give a personally, if I have to choose one tea in the world overall, I'm gonna have to make it Dongding Oolong tea. High level competition grade, sure, I'll take that too. But I must admit that I kind of started out here, or this is the tea country that I started exploring earliest on in the early 90s. And my best friend being the one who developed this competition, I have pretty close ties to it. But even separate from all that, the overall composition of the flavor profile of Dongding Oolong tea really offers a lot in comparison to basically any other tea on this island and beyond, in my personal experience and opinion. Sweet, roasty, a little bit I chose this batch because it's more oxidized than most, or at least many, a significant amount of competition entries. So I wanted to represent something a little more traditional. Traditional Dongding Oolong tea is even more oxidized than this. We won't get into how the competition has varied over the decades. It has to do with the consumer demand, and they've kind of tried to, strike a balance between consumer demand and maintaining tradition. Luckily, it's gotten a little more toward tradition in the last several years, meaning more of the oxidized quality and less of the roasted quality. It's definitely true that from, through the progression, you get less and less roast and more kind of the sweet, tangy aspect of an oxidized oolong tea. What the roast does is really just enhance everything that's already there and then add a roasted quality when it hits that higher temperature. But it's just kind of like, it's like cooking something that when it's raw, it's not so flavorful, but when you cook it properly, a lot of flavor comes forth. That's basically the idea with oxidation and roasting of tea, particularly oolong tea. So, this is going to be, well, I won't jump to conclusions. Let's see. So that more oxidized aspect of this batch of tea, it's not only because I'm drinking out of a pint glass here, but it does have an ale quality to it. It's just something a little bit fermented, something that's just really ripe fruit quality. Campfire and fruit, yum. The tea itself, it's been gleaned and cured, so to speak, meaning roasted very carefully and with finesse to the highest of standards. And we are happy to be able to offer it. Oh, I didn't mention this. So this is batch 108, which wraps up our 8th year of the Eco Cha Tea Club. That means we've offered 108 editions as of this month. And the very first edition, guess what it was? The same type of tea. So it's not that we're partial to it. I actually went back and looked over the 108, and we've offered it 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th time over 8 years, okay? So it's not like I think this is the best tea, you have to try it every year. But it was time to, the last time was in 2021, the time before that was 2019, I think, and then way back in 2014. No, it wasn't 2014, I guess 2016, 8 years ago. It's all kind of coming together in a timely way. I didn't actually intend to offer this batch as an anniversary occasion, but in effect it is, and we're very happy to have it kind of unfold that way. It is, the Lugu Farmers Association has been a flagship organization, and its competition has been the flagship competition for virtually all other competitions here in Taiwan to follow. The methodology of their tea judging has been followed in mainland China and beyond, as I'm told. So it has had a very significant impact on the modernization and professionalism of the tea industry here and globally. There we have it. Award-winning competition Dongding Oolong Tea, Spring 2024 Harvest, entered into the Spring 2024 competition and achieving 3rd place category. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next month.